Provocative playwright Jeremy O. Harris developing controversial new project based on royal family.
I cannot express how excited I am to be able to make this video about Jeremy O. Harris. I nearly made a video about this guy a couple of months back. You're not going to believe the antics of this creative genius. This fruitcake, he's going to blow your mind. He really is a once-in-a-generation twat. Don't get me wrong, in fact, I shouldn't insult like that. It's gratuitous, and to be honest, where would the Daniel Boland show be without people like this?
Who's Daniel Boland? Oh, Daniel Boland, this is a heavy hitter. Do you guys know who this is?
So anyway, let's get into it. Jeremy O. Harris, people. You are gonna love this guy.
With past projects including Slave Play and HBO's Euphoria, Broadway playwright and Hollywood producer Jeremy O. Harris has certainly made it clear that he's not afraid of a provocative concept.
Ooh, he's not afraid of a provocative concept. Imagine premiering a play with the word slave in the title. In 2018, this guy, this Jeremy O. Harris, is a real maverick. A real loose cannon. Move over, Rosa Parks. This is a real revolutionary. Senator McCarthy was right.
Act 1. Work. Act 1 begins at McGregor Plantation, a southern cotton plantation in pre-Civil War Virginia. The play begins with the song Work by Rihanna playing in the McGregor's overseer cottage. Kenesha, a slave, begins to twerk to the song when Jim, a white slave owner, walks in with a whip.
Say things are getting pretty serious.
Jim is repeatedly uncomfortable when Kenesha calls him master, but berates her for not cleaning the room better, and throws a cantaloupe on the ground and tells Kenesha to eat it. As Kenesha eats the cantaloupe, she begins to dance again, which confuses and arouses Jim. The overseer then initiates sex with Kenesha. When she asks to be called a nasty, lazy negress, he instead proceeds to perform cunnilingus.
Okay, that's a little bit too rich for me, but you get the idea of the kind of person we're dealing with here, don't you, in Jeremy O. Harris? He's a sex person. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against role play per se. You know, you gotta do whatever you can to keep the spark alive, right? I mean, you know, even racial role play. I'm married to a Spanish woman, and I ask her politely to dress up as a flamenco dancer with the castanets. Yes, that's right. And I play the role of a loud, loutish, drunken British tourist. And I start throwing money at her, I call her a whore. But I am dedicated to the realism. That's what really turns me on. So inevitably there has to be a waiter character telling me, sir, it's not that kind of establishment, you're causing a scene, you must leave. And it, you know, that kind of ruins the spark. And I don't have a third person, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those. There's no third, I have to play both roles. So it gets confusing. Rarely do I overpower my second character and have my way with the flamenco whore. But it doesn't matter, I'm still excited.
He's not afraid of a provocative concept. Even so, one of the thespian superstar's upcoming pieces seems likely to rattle the cutlery at dinner parties across Brooklyn. Page 6 has learned that Harris has founded a production company, and one of his first forays will be a little number called Prince F-T, but without the dashes.
Ooh, you're hard.
A play written by Jordan Tannehill, it imagines a not very distant future in which Prince George has come out of the closet.
I'm not joking. He is producing a play set in the not too distant future that imagines 10-year-old Prince George coming out as gay. Call the cops, seize his hard drives. I'm kidding, I'm sure he's not a menace to society. We just need to keep an eye on him, that's all. He's probably just an innocent attention whore. The best thing about it is the name, though. Prince Faggot. I gotta say, I love the name.
Folks have found themselves locked in the Tower of London for less.
For God's sake, don't lock him in the Tower of London. That's his sexual fantasy. He'd be like smearing cantaloupe all over himself. Oh, master, are you going to whip me?
For some reason, the imagined sexual orientation of 10-year-old Prince George of Wales, who is second in line to the British throne, has been a fascination for some time.
Has it?
TV writer Gary Janetti has a long-running Instagram character based on the young prince, reimagining him as a catty, fabulous, status-obsessive, which spawned its own HBO animated series, The Prince.
Look, I don't know if... basically, I've got my suspicions. I think TV writer Gary Janetti might be involved. Is there somewhere I can send a link? It's this Instagram page. I think he's behind it. You already know about him. HBO. That's all perfectly legal. Okay, then.
Prince Fagot is not the only project on Harris's slate. We are told.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got plenty of stuff in the pipeline. Of course he has. Degenerates like that thrive in today's society. Anyway, should we see a little interview with Jeremy O. Harris? And this was the video I was going to make a couple of months ago. You are going to fall in love. Bless his cotton socks. Jeremy O. Harris, people.
No one is saying that by inviting Black audiences here, you were uninvited.
On Broadway, there were nights where tickets were only sold to people who identified as Black. Are you going to do that in the West End?
I'm so excited to, yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah!
You are?
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the things that we have to remember is that people have to be radically invited into a space.
You have to remember that people must be radically invited to a space. God, I love this guy. I don't often invite people to my house, to parties, to anything, but when I do it radically. I send them blood-soaked handkerchiefs in the mail with threatening messages. Be there, my plantation bitch. Right? Something like that. I greet them at the door all drenched in cantaloupe, got a cock in a watermelon.
People have to be radically invited into a space to know that they belong there. And in most of our country, in most places in the West, poor people and Black people,
poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids,
have been told that they do not belong inside of the theater. In America, Jim Crow existed to literally tell them that they could not sit in the same theater as white people.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Some of my opinions not that popular, or often in the comments, but is it possible that a disproportionate amount of Black people think that going to the theatre is the kind of thing a Prince F-T would do? Now, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have any real-life interactions to base my theories on, but I am very present on the internet, and I read comment sections, right? Just for an example, you're on Twitter, and there's a tweet from one of those pages about horrible deaths, and a guy gets trapped in a cave and dies there, right? Look at the comment section, and look at all of the Black gifs of people going, what the hell are you doing in there? Right? It doesn't matter how radically you invite the Black community into the caves. I believe, my theory is, my hypothesis is they think that is for the snow roaches. My voices are ironic. Calm down.
And so for me, as someone who wants and yearns for Black and brown people to be in the theater, who comes from a working class environment and so wants like people who do not make, over 6 figures a year to feel like theater is a place for them, it is a necessity to radically invite them in with initiatives that say you're invited, specifically you.
Do you think maybe we've got it all wrong, and the people who installed segregation in America and South Africa, decades ago, do you think they were just like this guy? We need to radically invite white people into the theater, into spaces where they feel like they need to be comfortable, right? Do you think they're all like this guy, maybe? I don't know.
Right. And if the price of that is saying to people who are, just because they're white, you can't come, you're not allowed in this space, does that make you uncomfortable?
Well, no one's saying, listen,
I was about to say, no one's saying white people can't come in, but that's exactly what they're saying.
There are a litany of places in our country, in all of our countries, that are generally inhabited by only white people, and no one has questions about that.
Yeah, nobody ever questions that. Nobody ever says that places are too white or that white people are overrepresented in certain sectors. We are never made to feel uncomfortable about any of that kind of stuff. I mean, he's right. He's right. When he's right, he's right.
And no one is saying that by inviting black audiences here, you were uninvited.
There were literally performances where if you were white, you were not allowed in. I mean, I guess that's not uninviting, as we were never invited.
The idea of a blackout night is to say, this is a night that we are specifically inviting black people to fill up the space, to feel safe with a lot of other black people in a place where they often do not feel safe.
I can't imagine anything safer.
Okay, and does it play differently? Does the theatre feel different?
100%. It feels...
In what way? Explain.
Noisier, rowdy. No, I'm joking. It's not, they're all hollering. No, they're not. Shut up, Danny.
I think that, we all, let's not act as though we do not know that culturally, black audiences and white audiences respond to things differently.
Really? I never know. I can't begin to imagine in what ways Jeremy is talking about. I don't know what he's referring to. Anyway, that's your video for today. I've had a great time, and thanks for watching. Leave a little like on the video. Tell me what you thought in the comments. Nothing too edgy. All right, I'm not an edgelord. This is a safe space for certain people. No, it's a safe space. I'm really safe. Feeling safe? Good. If you feel safe, subscribe to the channel. You're safe to do so. I'll see you in the next one anyway. Bye.